Okay, wonderful. Hello, everybody. We just spent the last 4 minutes trying to get to you. So feel the love, feel the love. So I am feeling really good today, but over the last week, it feels like I've been dealing with a lot of clients who have felt like they are just tired. Like, and whether it's been two types of tired. So for some of my individual clients, it's been life has knocked me down again. I'm so tired. I don't know if I can get up and fight the fight again. Um, so that's been like tired number one. The tired number two is couples who have feel like, man, we're still dealing with this sex stuff. I don't know if I can stay in this relationship if I'm going to continue to not get my needs met. And so I would love for us to talk about today, like, how do we help clients with those two types of tired? I will say with my couples, it seems that some of y'all wait too late to get to therapy. You wait too late. And so you'll be with me week 3. Like, oh, I'm so tired. This isn't working. Okay, I just got this problem. y'all have been, this has been a train that has been going the wrong direction for the last 22 years. You got to give me at least 2 years to turn it around. Like, just at least 2.2 like years to turn it around. Like, just give it some time. And it actually is, it shouldn't take that long, depending on what else is wrong. Let me say that. Depending on what else is wrong. So if you're a couple where everything in the relationship is working but the sex, we'll probably get there faster than 2 years. But if the sex is just one of the symptoms of the grander problem, we got to work through all of that. So, okay. So Jessica, what do you think you would say? Let's start with couples first, because I've already talked about couples. To a couple that they get in treatment and they're just like, I'm tired. I don't know if I can keep doing this. They show up to the first session like, I'm tired. I don't know if I can keep doing this. And that usually happens when they've waited too late to start therapy. So they don't start therapy until their partner or somebody is like, well, let's call it a divorce attorney. Like, I'm ready to get a divorce. And then they're like, wait, let's try therapy first. Mm-hmm. You're starting. Okay. So let's say that couple's in your office. What do you say to them? How do you keep them in the boat?
There are a couple of things that one, because I don't necessarily need them to be in the boat. We can go in a different boat. You could be in different boats. There can be a third boat. Speaking of opening the relationship or discussing polyamory in a secure, responsible way, please do not go off half-cocked and like just start sleeping with other people, because that will not solve your problem. But I think it's figuring out, one, where are the non-negotiables for each person? Are they truly non-negotiable, or do you feel that they're just non-negotiable?
Right.
And then comparing the non-negotiables. If these two non-negotiables are not ever going to be compatible, is the boat able to be saved? Like, are we able to look at this? And so figuring out, like, in the scheme of things, if this is just your sex life, does everything else make up for it? Are there other ways that we can crave that intimacy, that attachment, that connection? That doesn't mean that we need to focus on making sure that everyone has screaming orgasms all the time. Like, that there's a lot to be said for comfort and companionship and sharing your life together and sharing finances and co-parenting in a happy household. There's a lot to be said for that. Not to say that you're not allowed to have a satisfying sex life. Not saying that.
Right.
But saying, like, what is the accumulation of everything and how much is this influencing it? And then, like, you're talking about being tired. Like, I feel like so many people are like, rest. Like, stop struggling so hard. How can we give yourselves a break? If it's in a couple, are we taking a sabbatical from this and just trying to, like, can we live not necessarily like single together, but like, can we just call a time out? And what do you need to kind of go back into battle? We need refreshments. We need rest. We need moral fortification. You know, What do we need to kind of get back in there and fight again? And what makes that fight worthwhile? Why are we continuing to fight?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so good. Okay. Okay. That's so good. I would also love everybody in general, and I'm gonna switch to my singles on this, is to identify the things that you need that rejuvenate you, that empower you, that strengthen you, that fortify you. Like, what are the things? So, like, get to know yourself. And if you are a person who's probably over the age of 30, you've at least had one time when you've been down. How did you get back up? Like, how did you get back up again? And making sure you know your recipe to get back up again, to go on, to not feel as if you have nothing left to give. All right. More than that, I would like for you not to get to this point where you feel like you're completely depleted and you can't go on. And so self-care has become such a buzzword. Like, your self-care, self-care. Are you doing your self-care? Self-care. And as cliche it has become, it's a real thing. Like, it's a real thing. And I always use the analogy of like putting gas in the car. Like, if you're constantly running out of gas, being on the side of the road, and then trying to figure out how do I get to the gas station? How do I find a gas tank to put gas in it? How do I walk back to my car to get gas in my car so I can get back going again? That is going to be tiring. But if you can make it a part of your routine, every Friday night when I come home, I put gas in my car for the next week. Every Sunday morning, I get up and I go exercise and I put gas in my car for the next week. Every Saturday morning before we go to the movies, I put gas in my car for the next week, and it becomes part of your routine. Then you're never running out of gas. So what are those things that you need to put in your life and put in your life consistently so you're not running out of gas? Okay, Jessica, you were going to say something.
Yes, so I have ADHD, and routine and consistency are the bane of my existence because I can't get consistent. And so I want to give a shout out to all of the people that I'm like, taking a shower is hard. Brushing your teeth is hard. Getting your dishes clean is hard. Like, all of these things, we are working in a society that was not built for single people to thrive. We are working in a society that has gone away from working in villages, in communities, in communes of people working together to help facilitate group growth. And this is the repercussions of that.
Yeah.
And so it's figuring out, like the other day I was talking to my therapist, and because I'm fairly new to figuring out the whole ADHD, she's like, well, I can tell when I'm in ADHD paralysis, where your executive functioning has been filled potentially the day before, and you're just, nope, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to watch television. I'm bored. I don't want to play on my phone. I don't want to do anything that's helpful for me. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to just sit down and rot. Like, I'm just, no. Not that you actually like want to kill yourself or anything like that.
Right. I got you.
That. It's just this overwhelming feeling of apathy. And so it's understanding that's okay. That's okay. Like, if this goes on for a week, that's probably something that we need to get reinforcements in. But like, understanding you can take a day, you can take an hour, you can take an afternoon. And especially if you're dealing with something with like ADHD or autism or other neurodiverse patterns where you have periods of overstimulation and you just need to calm yourself down and have lower amounts of stimulation, that is okay. And figuring out what that looks like for you. Like, I saw a really great video of like some people with ADHD have this intense period of hyperfocus where they get like 3 days of work done in 6 hours.
Wow.
And then they crash for the next 24. And it's like, what does your cycle look like? What does your pattern look like? Especially being aware that it's getting darker, it's getting colder. Ebbs and flows. It's really important to understand, like, maybe this is just an ebb period.
Yeah. I want to say so much about that, but that's going to like totally derail us because it is important to know kind of watching yourself, learning yourself, knowing my seasons. Like I was on a call, I can't remember, with somebody yesterday, and they were saying the fall makes me want to sleep more. Like I get it starts getting darker earlier and I want to go to bed earlier. And it's harder to get out of the bed because it's cold in the morning and all of that. And so knowing that about yourself so you aren't beating yourself up for that. Okay. If we had a client who was saying, I feel like I've done all the things and I'm still life tired. I'm not suicidal, but I don't feel like I could go on. Like I just don't know like what else to do. I'm so tired. What do you think you tell them?
One, I think it's tapping into how close of that is, like, what are you here for?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you here? Why are you staying on this earth? Like, what
Mm,
is motivating you to keep
yeah.
going?
Yeah.
And what does that look like? And how can we have more of that? Because the more that we're inspired and passionate and excited and fired up, the more we have the reason to get up the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's okay, you've tried everything. So have you changed your job? Have you changed your relationship? Have you changed your house? Have you changed your living
Mm,
situation? Like,
mm-hmm.
do we need to radically shake things up? Do you need to move to Arizona because the climate's going to be different and your allergies aren't going to cause
Mm,
problems like they do
yeah.
in Georgia? Like,
Yeah.
there are things that you haven't thought of. You just need someone to give you a bigger box.
Yes.
Like you need someone to show you
Mm-hmm.
what you haven't thought of. And there are so many times, like I talked with one of my clients that was talking about and this is kind of off topic, but talking about like sex is gross or touching myself is gross. And I was like, okay, well, you need to build a tolerance for that because like
Yeah.
you may not like that. And so the way she's like, but like, how do I know? And I was like, set a timer for a minute. Do a minute for once
Mhm,
a week or one day a week. And then next week, set a timer for 2 weeks. And
mhm.
even when sex, like it takes so long, how do I know when I'm going to get done? Set a timer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like have sexy time until the timer goes off at 30 minutes. And then you know that you have 30 minutes for sexy time. And if that makes things bearable, freaking set timers.
Yeah.
Like figure out a way to gamify or like, okay, I need to work, I need to focus on this. Set a timer.
Hmm. Yeah. I think I love that. All right. I love that because when you're trying to figure out your life by yourself, you are limited. Like you are limited. You will only see the problem because when you're in pain, you like if my pinky is hurting, the only thing I can focus on is my pinky is hurting right now. And that's kind of how our mind works. And so when we're dealing with something, it's hard for us to come up with solutions. You know, you can't see your own backside. And so just having a therapist or somebody else in your world, because even though I love therapy greatly, I'll tell you, there's more than one way up the mountain. And so, however it works for you, find out what works for you. But then, like, do the thing, engage with the therapist so that you're getting other opinions in your brain, other thought processes in your brain, other ideas in your brain. It is so helpful. It is so helpful. There have been times, I don't know, that I've just been crazy. Just like being crazy and locked in my own thought pattern, their own way. And just one person, thank God, like all of my friends are therapists, a good half of them are, where they'll say something and it just, oh my God, I see it completely differently. Like, oh my God, like we're talking about like crying for like 2 hours straight to like, oh, that's what happened. Oh, that's another, um, okay, because what we can do as human beings is we can go into our own stories, we can blame ourselves, we can feel that we're broken, we're unworthy, and we can get just locked into that.
Mm-hmm.
And
An
so,
example of that. So like I was getting my hair cut and talking to my stylist about my daughter,
uh-huh,
about a conflict that we were having. And she's like, you're her safe place and you're making her do something that's scary. And that's gonna resolve in some feelings.
yeah,
And I'm like, well, crap. Like So they don't have to be a therapist. Like it's literally just talking about what's going on and getting a different perspective. And like another thing that made me think of it is like we were talking about television shows at the very beginning. Like find a source of media, find a character that you like, find a book that you like. Like
Mhm.
you don't have to necessarily talk to other people if you're really violently opposed to this. Like there are other ways to get new
There
ideas
are
as
other
well.
ways that oh, there are so many good like documentaries out. There's so many
Podcasts.
podcast podcasts, even television shows. The wonderful thing about television shows now is they're more real than they ever have been before. And it's so where in the days of I mess with my parents, Rawhide and Andy Griffith and all of that, everybody looked very perfect. They kind of stayed in these roles and like nothing bad kind of ever happened. I mean, well, bad stuff happened, but always got resolved.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see TV shows where, like in This Is Us, when one of the main characters like stuck under the desk with paralyzing anxiety, and so you get to
Well,
see yourself, I
and
think, on TV in a way that we've never had before.
yeah, we just finished the last season of Heartstoppers, and it really talks about eating disorders and not only
Oh,
how eating disorders can affect your sex life and how you
oh
show up with your
yeah.
partner, but also because the eating disorder is in a 16-year-old male, one, showing it in men, showing it in how it affects your
Mm-hmm.
family, how it affects your
Mm-hmm.
friend group,
Mm-hmm.
how mental health can affect your entire world.
Mm.
And they deal with it in such a responsible, um, very comprehensive way, which I think is really great. And I don't know that I've seen it that extensively done on television previously.
Wow. And this is a heart. It's a
Heartstopper,
hmm.
it's Netflix. It's about a lot of identity. There's
Okay.
a person who identifies as trans. It's figuring out bi, so a lot of LGBTQ themes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also themes of like abuse in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
because like at the very beginning, he's in a relationship with a boy who is not out about his sexuality
Mm-hmm.
and handles it in a very like he has a lot of anger and resentment towards his sexuality,
Yeah.
and takes it out on the character in a really
Mm-hmm.
not okay way.
Oh wow.
And so like the themes that it talks about are really important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's another character who's dealing with his sexuality and he handles it in a completely different way, which is
Mm-hmm.
really lovely to be able to see like it can
The different way.
manifest in different ways.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So bringing it back around, we started off the day talking about that feeling of like tiredness. One of the things that came up for me during the session is people who are tired of dating and
Mm.
they feel like they can't find a partner. So what would you tell them? Like, I'm so tired. I don't know what to do. I feel like I've been dating all of my life and I
Yeah.
haven't found the partner yet. Like I'm tired and I want to give up, but I don't even know how to give up. Like I can't keep myself from wanting a committed relationship. What would you tell that person? That's another kind of
Oh,
tiredness I feel like we see come in.
yes. Well, and there's two thoughts. So one, if you're having an extensive amount of tiredness, potentially go to your doctor to see if there's something with chronic fatigue. Like that
Ooh.
is a real thing. So
Okay.
like it may not just be a mental health issue. You may need to go and get checked out
Mm-hmm.
physically. About the dating thing, whoo, buddy. So full transparency, I am single and have been single for eons. It's not been that long, but like it feels that way. And like I feel like one, it's really important to understand the structure that is set up for dating right now is the worst. Like it is absolutely terrible. And there's so many books that I could cite that have actual research studies of why this is a true statement. I think what is looking at is what does that idea of a partner give you? Do you just want somebody to spend time with? Do you need somebody to body double to do chores around the house? Are you feeling like you're not able to
Mhm.
complete certain things? Like what part of that partnership feels like a non-negotiable? And then figuring
Mm.
out, are there other ways to meet this goal or is this the only way to meet the goal?
Mhm.
If that's the only way to meet the goal, which I feel like is like there's probably other ways.
Yeah.
Like I know that when I became a mom, so I adopted my child, she gave me a sense of anchor and solidity that I was looking for in a potential partner. that
Mm-hmm.
I never found because I now have somebody that relies on me, that is important, and I'm important to them. And it is challenging and has its own set of struggles. And there's a whole other group to that. But
Right.
like, I feel more solid in my singlehood as a single mom versus before when I was just single, because it
Mm.
gave me more of that purpose and that drive and direction to put affection
Mm-hmm.
and challenge, which was really helpful. So like, how can your friends support you? How can, I mean, if you're looking for a hookup, there are places to find that if you need to find that
That's
in a
true.
responsible, sexually safe way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like what is that goal? And then
Mm-hmm.
also again, giving permission to rest. Like a
Yeah.
lot of the time, have you done the work on yourself to attract the right partner?
Mm-hmm.
Have you taken the time to really figure out what you're looking for and not like he needs to be 6 foot and make six figures? Like that's crap. So
Right.
like, how does he make you feel?
Yeah. That's really,
Or
really good.
she?
Yeah. I think again, I'm going to ask you to go talk to a therapist and rely if you're feeling that like tiredness, because just a different perspective, thinking about it differently, getting some new information will make all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. And back around to my couples again, when please don't wait till the last minute to come to therapy. Like it shouldn't be. I called the lawyer yesterday. Okay, let's try the therapy today. I would like it to be, hey, we're starting to have some little problems here and I'm not feeling good. Let's go ahead and go to therapy. I promise you guys it'll be so much easier and cheaper if we work on it while it's a molehill before it becomes a mountain. Just
Or even
so much easier.
preemptively, like, hey, we know that
Right?
communication is difficult. Let's go ahead and get this started
Mm-hmm.
early. Once I know that this is something that I can see having legs and I want to stay with you, like, let's do the
Yeah.
best we can to find some conflict resolution skills and some
Yes.
communication skills to
Yes.
where we don't ever have molehills or anthills or mountains.
At the very least, read a book together. Like read
Oh,
a couple's
please.
communication book together, a couple's book. Um, please start working on it. So yeah. Okay. That's all I have for the day. I want to acknowledge I hear you guys being tired and we're here to help and serve. I hear you being tired and we're here to help and serve. I get
Mhm.
that. So all right, last thoughts, Jessica.
I think sometimes we forget how helpful it is to talk about things,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that we're not the only person that's in the fight.
That's so good. That's so
And I
good.
think that if nothing else, having a therapist can help. Like, I'm not alone.
Yeah,
Like, someone else is helping me.
definitely so. All right. Well, thank you. Have a great day.
Absolutely, you too.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.